Good evening. Hello, my name is Kevin Atkins. I'm in Shop 38, and I'm doing a speech on the greatest American general, Douglas MacArthur. I'd like to start with a quote of his: honor, duty, country. Those are three hollowed words. Reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, and what you should be. General Douglas MacArthur was born 26 January 1880 in Little Rock, Arkansas, to an Army officer at the Little Rock Army Barracks. He moved around in his early years with his father being in the Army. He graduated from high school from West Texas Military Academy as valedictorian. He entered the West Point Academy in 1899 and graduated in 1903 with honors. He finished first in his class. He was assigned to the Army Corps of Engineers. In 1903, he was sent to the Philippines, where he supervised construction of Army bases and wharfs. In 1906, he was transferred to his father's staff and toured military bases throughout the Far East. In 1914, he took part in the occupation of Veracruz, Mexico, where he was put in for a Medal of Honor for his actions, but it was denied. August 1917, he helped create the 42nd Division after asking to be transferred to the infantry. He was promoted to the rank of major and created the division out of National Guard units from several states. Not to offend any one state, they called it the Rainbow Division. The Rainbow Division was sent to France in October 1917. They saw their first action in February 1918 during the Marne Offensive with the French 7th Corps. General MacArthur received the Croix de Guerre from the French government for his actions during that offensive. March 1918, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions with the 167th Infantry fighting the Germans. June 1918, he was promoted to Brigadier General, the youngest Brigadier General in the Army's history. In November 1918, during the Morse-Argonne Offensive with the 42nd Division, he was awarded his 7th Silver Star and the Distinguished Service Medal. After the war, he came back and he was made the superintendent of the U.S. Army Academy at West Point. In 1922, he assumed command of the military district of Manila. In 1925, he became the Army's youngest Major General. In 1930, he left the Philippines with the rank of General and took command of 4th Corps in Atlanta, Georgia. In 1935, the President of the Philippines asked MacArthur to supervise the creation of the Philippine Army, which he did. In 1936, MacArthur was made Field Marshal of the Philippine Army. He's the only one to ever hold that title. In December 1941, Roosevelt recalled MacArthur back to active duty. He fought the Japanese, slowing their advance through the Philippines, giving America time to set up and win the war. In January of 1942, he received $500,000 from the Philippine president for all the work he had done before the war. In February 1942, he was ordered to leave the Philippines and go to Australia to set up headquarters. He was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions in the Philippines. In 1942, he became Supreme Commander of Allied Forces in Southwest Pacific area. In June 1942, His forces fought in the Papalan campaign, where he was awarded his third Distinguished Service Medal for his actions. March 1942, he led the forces in the New Guinea campaign, passing smaller islands that were held by the Japanese to advance and get to the Philippines and liberate them quicker. On October 20th, 1944, he returned to the Philippines and he declared, "I have returned." Now, I had the privilege of being at the 50th reenactment of MacArthur's landing in October 1994 in the Philippines. In December 1944, he was promoted to the rank of 5-star general. After the Central Philippines was cleared of all Japanese forces, he moved to the liberation of Luzon, which is the northern half of the Philippines. The Japanese still had 287,000 troops in the area. By December 1945, General Yamashita and the last 100,000 Japanese soldiers surrendered to MacArthur. In August 1944, he was at the surrender of the Japanese and signed it in Tokyo Harbor on the USS Missouri. He became the Supreme Commander of Allied Forces in Japan, and he led the occupation forces in the rebuilding of the country. In 1950, when North Korea attacked South Korea, he became Commander-in-Chief of Far East Forces and Commander-in-Chief of the United Nations Command. He stopped the North Korean assault at the Pusan perimeter. In September 1950, he planned and led a landing at Incheon, a port on the west side of Korea. They landed with 75,000 troops, 261 ships. They were able to liberate Seoul and drive the North Korean forces back north. In February 1952, MacArthur was making plans to fight the Communist Chinese Army, which was against the wishes of President Truman. So on April 11, 1952, General Douglas MacArthur was relieved of command for insubordination. Some of the medals that General MacArthur received during his long career: the Medal of Honor, the highest medal in the U.S. military, the Distinguished Service Medal from the Army 3 times, Distinguished Service Medal from the Navy, Silver Star 7 times, the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Bronze Star with a V for Valor, the Air Medal, and the Purple Heart. He also received 36 different medals from 16 different nations for his work. Thank you, and have a nice evening.